Today I am taking a look at Cuba Libre, or Cuba Libre, depending on how people pronounce it. I've heard it both ways. And just for full disclosure, I am drinking a Coke, but there is no rum or lime in it. This is from our pals at GMT Games. It is the second title in their coin series, or their counter-insurgency series, designed by Volko, Runke, and Jeff Grossman is on board for this title. This is the coin series, if you're familiar with Andean Abyss, which I think is a phenomenal game, then you're definitely going to see some similarities. Of course, going to be a lot different too. So let's take a look at the back. Cuba Libre is for up to 4 players. It is for 1 to 4 players, so it is highly suitable for solitaire play. It's medium complexity, and if I think back to Andean Abyss, that's about right. As we can see, we're going to get a closer look at the map, of course. As opposed to Andean Abyss, it looks as if there are quite a few fewer provinces or areas of the board that you're going to look to control. This is a card-driven game also, so it's important to keep in mind that there is going to be some element of luck, as in any game that's going to utilize cards. So I'm excited to see this. There are 2 new volumes in the coin series, and this is the second, and the third is A Distant Plane, which you'll be seeing in a video very shortly, and that is actually the insurgency in Afghanistan. So this is actually Castro's insurgency from 1957 through 1958. So let's take a look to see what we've got inside. And it's a pretty hefty box. Not lightweight, not real heavy either. So we're going to have the rules of play and then a playbook. Pretty common for us to see these in GMT releases. So we've got the rules of play. It looks like we're clocking in at about 20 pages on this. It's all in full color. It's going to give you an introduction to the game. I haven't, of course, delved into this, but obviously you're going to have the Batista faction, you're going to have the Castro faction, probably some anti-communists, so on and so forth. So there should be 4 factions in play. If this is going to be similar to Andean Abyss, you're going to find that the gameplay is a little asynchronous. Each side does not play the same way, so every side is going to have a different way about going about winning the game, if that's the case. Of course, I will have a review of Cuba Libre in the very near future. So we're taking a look here, talking about the different factions, the sequence of play, operations, and there's a bit of a Euro game flavor to the coin series too. Special activities, events, which of course the deck of cards are the different events that take place, propaganda rounds, victory. Stop! You have read all the rules needed for 4 players, or the no non-player option. Then we have non-player factions. Hey, it told us to stop. I don't follow rules very well. Non-player government actions, key terms, breakdown of showing the different counters, and a breakdown of setting up the game once again here. Then we've got the playbook. Normally, the playbook will have a very detailed example of play, historical notes, designer notes, and so on. And with the card-driven games from GMT, we'll usually have a breakdown of each of the cards and kind of talking about historically, what does this card represent, which I think is really cool. Twilight Struggle, prime example. Love it. So here's a tutorial to teach new players how to get into the game. Lots of illustrations, all in full color. Really, really nice. I have to admit, very rarely do I ever run across something from GMT that I don't think that they're providing you with great value. And as you can see, this is all laid out to really help get you into the game. So we'll just flip it through. It looks like this is an example of play here. It talks about how is this different from Andean Abyss. An example of play if you're playing solitaire and how to put the deck together. So we've got that. I can see right here, GMT's done a really, really nice job. Then we've got an article, The Myth of Volko, by Jeff Grossman. Design notes. And we've got a little bit of the background about each of the cards, as I had mentioned before. Alright, so there we have the playbook. Then it appears that each of the factions have the various different actions that they can take place. And as I mentioned, it's asynchronous. So depending on if you're the government, you're going to have different activities and operations that you can perform as opposed to, say, Castro's forces. So we've got 1, 2, 3, let's make it 4 of these references. Then I'm going to take a guess that we'll have a few of these non-player charts here as well, so that you can play fewer than the maximum 4. And there's a couple of those. Got a breakdown of the sequence of play. Oh, very nice. And we're going to move into the counters. And it didn't look like there are very many counters as far as the game itself. So taking a look, terror, civic action, and they're dual-sided. Very nice. Hello, Chi! We've got the map. Take a peek at that in just a moment. Looks like a pretty small map. We've got the different tokens. Baggies for the counters. And the event deck. So we'll take a peek at the event deck in just a second. Let's kind of move this out of the way. Let's take a better look at the map here. And it's a mounted map. And as I mentioned, it's a smaller size map, so you can easily get 4 people around a table. You don't need a huge table to lay out. So we've got Cuba broken up into different provinces or regions. We've got government forces, syndicate forces. I wonder if that would be the mob. Open casinos. Yep, I'm going to take a guess that one of the factions is actually the mob. And once again, we've got a sequence of play broken up here. It's like this might be to track victory points or resources. I'm not sure. But yeah, very cool looking map. So let's take a look at the event cards. All right, so taking a look here, and I'm just going to kind of go from memory, but I recall in Andean Abyss, each of the factions on the cards, you'll notice it should change up at who gets to go first. So this is actually the sequence for the different factions. Armored Cars, Guantanamo Bay, SIM, Word of Torture. But as you'll notice, some of these look kind of similar, but now you'll see that they're kind of changing around. And it appears that most of the time the government forces are going first. Well, it looks like that's, I'm guessing that's Castro's forces. So one thing I always enjoy about many of the card-driven GMT games is just that historical background with these event cards, because once again it provides a very strong narrative. So once you finish playing, you have a story behind the game. I love that. And it makes it very replayable because it's never going to be the same game twice, regardless of the strategies that the different players utilize. Meyer Lansky, there you go. Wheeler Dealer. Alright, so there we have the event deck and That's what you'll find in the box for Cuba Libre from GMT. I should point out that Cuba Libre is available for an MSRP of $69 from GMT or in some of your better friendly local gaming stores. Once again, this is Jeff McAleer. Be sure to swing by thegaminggang.com for all the latest in tabletop gaming news and reviews and a whole lot more. And until next time, thanks for watching.